Welcome to Flosstube number 222. I'm Dottie stitching Scotty, and you are now looking at two of my Scotties, Winston and Striker. Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's me, Stitching Scotty. I'm Dottie, and you got to see my two boys, Striker and Winston. And I would just like to welcome everyone, and this is going to be a very short video because Dolores, for number one, is not here. She's in Charleston, and she's with the cats. Yeah. So anyway, we won't tell Winston and Striker we said that, will we? No. See, there's Winston. They're sitting in the chair today, and they did get their treats. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for always coming back to watch my Flosstube. And today we have a lot of good things. It's mostly about Blackbird designs, plus I have a big finish. And it's about WIPGO. And then I'm going to show some patriotic patterns that I plan to stitch, and for a sal, and then I've got another sal that I'm going to do for cross stitch camp, another piece, and I'm going to show that because I haven't started mine yet. I'm behind as usual. But anyway, first of all, I would like to shout out and thank Stitching with My Kitties, Miss Patty Penn. Thank you so much. Not only did she shout me out on one video, she shouted me out on two. And she's just so sweet. I met her at Stitch West and StitchCon, or I met her again at Stitch West. But I first met her at StitchCon, and she's a friend of Niecy Lynn. You know, I love some Niecy Lynn from Texas, and Patty Penn is from Virginia. I always thought they were neighbors. And when I met them at StitchCon, I was like, oh, she lives in Virginia. She lives closer to me. So anyway, thank you, Patty Penn. You had some beautiful finishes and some stitchy boxes. If you want to make stitchy boxes, you need to go see Patty Penn's stitchy boxes. They're beautiful. And she just has some beautiful needle minder collection. You need to see that. Then also, I want to thank Olivia from Southern Yankee Stitcher for shouting me out. She has two beautiful finishes, and of course, she found some more good thrifty things when she went, like, as Niecy Lynn says, junking, but Olivia calls it yard sales and estate sales. So be sure and go check that out. Southern Yankee Stitcher and Stitching with My Kitties. Those are my two Flosstube shout-outs this week. We just have some great things to show, so I'm going to get started with my book of days, which I usually forget. And this is my book of days. This is how I keep up with what I have, because from one week to the next, I'm like, what did I work on this week? Well, this week, I think I've almost become a monogamous stitcher. It's kind of scary, so that's why I don't have a lot to show. I only worked on 3 things, and one was not very long because I fell asleep. But anyway, this is my book, and I put one of my new stickers from Primrose Cottage, Just Keep Stitching. And then the other one over here, it says, there are never too many whips. And you know, with me, that's very true, because I start all the things. So this week, I've worked on American Eagle, which is one of my WIPGO calls, because it was a patriotic block that I had marked for that, I think it was 23 and 21, and I don't remember which one it was. But this one's a Blackbird design, and it's out of the Sweet Land of Liberty book, and it's this one right here, but I've got a much better picture. There you go. Isn't that just beautiful? And that house, yeah. We use Gentle Arts threads, and there's 1 week's dye works. The design size is 93 by 114, and it's on 32 count Confederate gray. But I don't think mine's on 32 count. I think it's on 28 count Confederate gray. And the weave is very loose on my fabric. And the instructions were to cross stitch with 1 strand over 2 threads. I didn't do that because it was such a loose weave. But I got the house finished and I started on the eagle. So there you go. I got all the little buntings under the doors. I got the steps and I got all the trim around the edge and the little buntings up here and filled in the windows and the door. I did that and then finished this down here, which I had left off, and then started on the eagle. So I think after I got the house done, I think this one's just going to move right along. But I think it's so pretty. I love it. And this has just been languishing in my whip pile for quite some time. Yeah. Or on my whip shelf. But anyway, I do not know what fabric it is because this is an oldie but a goodie. So, yeah. But that's one WIPGO call. And Jessie Marie does stuff. Does the WIPGO 2025. She has a Facebook group. She's on Instagram. And she has a channel that says like official WIPGO or something like that, and you can go on there and she calls out the numbers on the 25th of the month. So yeah. And then my other WIPGO call was Halloween. So you know me, I can always stitch Halloween or Christmas. I love those two holidays. And out of the Teresa Kogut book, this was one of, glare. This was one of her earlier books, and there's no picture. It's just a bunch of graphs except for these two designs. So it's kind of, hit or miss what you're doing. But anyway, I've got a piece of even weave, and it's 28 count. No, this is 32 count. And I just got a little bit more done. I didn't get a lot done on this one. I got part of the house done. And that's all I got done. And she still has no legs to attach the shoes to her body. I'm going to get around to that. But hopefully I can get a finish on this, because this is one of my WIPGO calls. And I really, really like the dress and all the colors. I think they're so pretty. And all these are DMCs, if I'm not mistaken. So they're so, so pretty. And they're 2 strands over 2 threads. And, oh, I forgot to tell you, this is the cat. Yeah, that's all I've got done on him. And then I forgot about him and started on the house. Yeah, because I couldn't find any onyx. And then when I did find onyx, it was a different color. So I may have to rip him out because I was using onyx on the cat. So I said it was DMC, but there's 5 weeks dye works: onyx, caper, carrot, and amber. But on the gingerbread, I didn't have it, and so I used number 610 for that. So that's my other whip. And those are my only whips this week. Can you believe it? Only 2. But the other thing I stitched on, and it was also for my WIPGO, what I've done is I've said I'm going to stitch 4 days on this topic, either Halloween or patriotic or a certain designer. And in the sister's book, at First Cock's Crow, and there's a much better picture of this one also. Oh, here we go. I thought I had this ready, but I did not. And this is the picture of the graph. I used all the call for colors except Garden Gate, if you've been watching that, and it's Gentle Arts. This book used mostly Gentle Arts. And this is on a piece of 32 count, Picture This Plus Oaken. And I love this oaken. And I have a finish. I am so thrilled that this is a finish, because I thought, I was stitching on it and I was like, oh, I just like this. I just like this. Oh, I can do this in no time. And look at that. I was so tickled. But the bad part is I ran out of the onyx. So I went and bought some onyx and it didn't match. Because usually I'm really good about buying, enough, or I buy extra. So this down here and all along the bottom is 310 DMC. And it matches really well. So I was really pleased about that. I was just desperate. I thought, well, I'll just have to do something. So, because who knows how old that thread is, or floss is. But I'm using 2 strands over 2, and I used most everything. But it says at first cocks crow, the ghosts must go back to the back to their quiet graves below. And it's October 31st, 1894. And I don't know what the significance of 1894 is, but I'm sure one of you smart people there will tell me, because I didn't research it or anything. I was too busy stitching. But this all looks a little wonky, but I stitched it exactly like it was, because I thought, well, I need to put the bird back here and then this, and that's what I did. So I had to rip the bird out because he was here and then this was here, and I was like, oh, that's wrong. So yeah, it's not symmetrical, but it's okay. That's the way the pattern was, and that's the way I wanted it. But I love the modeling on this, and I'm just really proud of it. So I can't wait to take it to the framer. All right, and that was 2 strands over 2. So I've got 1 finish. Yay! So that is all the stitching I did this week. I mean, that's pretty sad, isn't it? But I got a finish, so that was good. So I'm really happy about that. And the Sisters book is hard to find, but it's still around. So, yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about our free pattern. Well, no, let's talk about our featured Etsy shop. Now, our featured Etsy shop today is also a brick and mortar store, but it goes by a different name in Etsy. And I was in there, I stopped in there the other day, and let's see, I think it was Tuesday. I stopped in there on Tuesday. Dolores and I did, and we looked around, and we were talking, and all of a sudden she says, oh yeah, we have Etsy. But anyway, if you want to go to the shop, it's in Hendersonville, North Carolina. You need to call for an appointment. The name of the shop is Sandy's Xstitch On The Go, and I will link that below. She does not really have a web page. If you pull it up on Google, it says she's open till 5 p.m. You need to call for an appointment. We just happened to luck into her and find her in the yard. So there you go. And she was sweet enough to let us in. So, I thought that was very sweet. But I've been to her shop a lot. And even when I was in EGA, I've been to her shop a good bit. Our EGA group used to go up there. That's Embroiderers Guild of America. But anyway, she also, something very important you need to know is you either need to take your checkbook or cash, because she does not accept debit cards or credit cards. It's just check or cash. She is an expert needleworker, and there's needlepoint, hardhanger, and cross stitch in the store. And she also has boxes, like, the jewelry boxes and the sewing boxes and things like that. She has some of those too that you can buy. Okay, so let's get started. One of the things that caught my eye on in her Etsy shop, and I think there's about 300 items in there. She doesn't have all of her inventory in there, but it's called Whispered by the Wind Cantata, and this is a holiday pattern, but I thought it was so, so pretty. Let's see. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? All right, and then the next one is the Victoria sampler. It's called Kathy Jean's Heart Secret. And I thought that was really pretty too. And it says, within your heart, keep one still secret spot where dreams may go. That's so, so pretty. All right, you can tell I'm in a campground because my neighbors up the hill are having fun. Then she also has hardhanger, and this is the blue and white number 3 hardhanger ornaments. This is one of the prettier hardhanger pieces I found. Then she has, because it's close to, 4th of July and then Memorial Day, Rosewood Manor has a, I don't know what the name of this one is because it cut it off, but it's, I think it's just America. And it's got the words to America the Beautiful and all those beautiful the little quilt blocks. Then we have a Biscore Nude from Praiseworthy Stitches. Isn't that pretty? You can make that any color. You don't have to do purple. You do red, blue, orange, yellow, variegated, whatever. Then we have August Accent Floral. And I picked this because it had a lot of specialty stitches. She has quite a few things that have specialty stitches. And it's beautiful. She also has some full coverage pieces. And this is one, for those of you that like Nora Corbett or Bella Filipina, this one is called Passionate Ricamo. And this is Serendipity Fae. It's a lavender fairy. Isn't that beautiful? She has several of those different designs. I want to say that's like an Italian designer. And then this is a Mirabilia. It's Gypsy Queen. So, so pretty. Love those deep, rich colors. And then Heritage Crafts is Mary Portfolio. This is the blue tit bird. Isn't that pretty? Look at that yellow and blue. It almost looks like a blue jay, doesn't it? And then one of the full coverages, this is a Heaven and Earth design. This is called Stone Bridge Cottage. Look at that. It reminds me of Thomas Kincaid with the lights in the window. Then we have Elizabeth Designs. This is an oldie but a goodie, so it's hard to find. Land of the Free. Home of the Brave. So pretty. Then we have Erica Michaels, Random Thoughts of Summer. And it says Road Trip, Hot, Lazy Days. And it's got a fishing pole, a flag. And you could do this in like a variegated red, white, and blue. I think it's called Confetti. And it's a Weeks Dye Works. It's pretty. And then they have some cottage garden ones too. Then we also have a Brenda Gervais, Mary Mouse. Isn't that cute? And this is one I've never seen. It's from Blue Ribbon Designs. And this is called Behind the Gate. And it's a Halloween calendar. It says the month of October creeps along. Each day reveals a treat. Quickly we reach the 31st day when beggars dress up for sweets. There you go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, you can even do those as scissor fobs. And then we have Bent Creek. It's a smiling blackjack with the vulture and the pumpkin. There goes a dog. And then we have The Listener. It's another bird from Beautiful Threads Needlework. So lifelike. And Rami's Creation, Wisdom Words. It says, live simply, give more, expect less. Friends are medicine for the heart and vitamin for the soul. Isn't that pretty? All right. So be sure and check out Sandy's shop, her Etsy shop. She's a sweet, sweet lady. Her daughter helps her with the Etsy shop. And I'll link that below. And if you're in the area, be sure and call her and make an appointment to stop by. All right, now let's talk about our free pattern. Okay, this one is from Pinker and Punkin, and it's Summer Cabin. And I will link this below. And she has finished it up like a little quilt square. Or I say like a quilt square, but she's finished it up. It could be a mug rug or a wall hanging, whatever. But isn't that pretty? And it's got the American flag and a sunflower. So there you go. Make a cute little pillow too. So I will link that below. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of the things that I'm going to be stitching for the hashtag 13 for the 250th SAL, or stitch along. Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher, who you need to watch her floss tubes too. She has some beautiful pieces. And Stitcher with a Laughing Face. You need to check her out too. I think she's on Instagram and has a floss tube, if I'm not mistaken, which I haven't had time to watch. But I'm gonna. Anyway, they want to. The thing is, you were supposed to start. You know, you could start now, and by next year, July 4th, 2026, you should have 13 FFO'd. I think it's FFO'd. I think. But anyway, they said you'd have them ready to put out, so I just assumed FFO'd. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But anyway, watch their floss tube, and you can, it's a floss tube extra under Nancy the Disorderly Stitcher. But anyway, I've picked out 2 items that I'm going to start with out of my 13, and they're from Shepherd's Bush. And one of them I chose was red, white, and blue. And this is a kit. And it's got the Chula fabric, the 10 count, and all the floss. So this will be really cute. And I've got a little frame I pop these things in and out of. I've got 2 frames. And these are so fun and so easy. And if you want one, be sure and call Shepherd's Bush or your local needlework shop. And, you know, you can get the little kit, red, white, and blue. All right, that's one I'm going to start. And then the other one is Americana Scissor Fob. I think this one is so cute. On one side, it says America, and it's got a flag and a beehive and some cute things. And then and little waves. And then on the other side, it says From Sea to Shining Sea. And this is a kit also. Isn't that cute? And it's got the linen, which I want to say is probably 36 count. It's got the scissors, the floss, the sheath for the scissors, the needle, everything you need is in here. So, except maybe some interfacing to finish it with, and polyfill. So that's pretty good. They've even got a little floss holder in here. It's made out of cardboard. But those 2 are what I'm going to be stitching on in the next 13 months. So, yay. All right. Oh, I said those 2. Oops, that's the wrong one. This one. Okay, the other thing that I just held up by mistake is for Cross Stitch Camp, Summer Cross Stitch Camp 2025. And Colorado Cross Stitcher, Sherry, she does this every year, and you were supposed to pick sunshine or moon and stitch something with that, and you take a picture of your fabric before you start. Boy, this is translucent, isn't it? Here we go. Your fabric, and I'm doing this one on the fabric that was in the kit, and then your floss. Oops. Your floss, and I'm doing Weeks Dye Works. Okay, let me do it like this. Okay, oh, that looks awful. Okay, I'm just not the neatest person with floss. I know Dolores is just laughing her head off. But anyway, there's my messy floss. And then, of course, a picture of the pattern. And then I also put the little beads and things in there too. So you stitch it up and you finish it in the month of June. And then you also post a picture and you post it to Instagram, hashtag Cross Stitch Camp 2025. And then hashtag Colorado Cross Stitcher and tag her also so she can get it. And she has prizes that she gives for everybody that finishes. Not everybody, but she has a drawing. And she has really nice prizes too. And there's something you do for June. There's one thing you do for July, and then something else you do for August. So I'm going to be stitching on this, and I'm excited about it. So anyway, that's about all I have for today. And this, oh wait, and this will also count for my hashtag Lizzie Kate series sale with Jen Quilter and Penny's Daughter Shares. And Jen Quilter is from Jennifer from Two Tall Stitchers. And Penny's Daughter Shares, of course, she has a floss tube also. And both their floss tubes are very good. Hadn't seen one of Penny's very lately, so I hope she does one soon. But Anyway, and hopefully next time, because it's been a year since Karen, the Stitching Owl, and I hosted the hashtag 12 Days of Christmas Stocking sale. Hopefully I will have some FFO'd Christmas stockings. I do not have all 12, excuse me, but hopefully I will have some. If I'd have thought, you know, today is the day a year ago that we started this stitch along, and I meant to bring them, and I put them in a bag with my little cord winder, because all I got to do is put the cording on it, and forgot them at home. Yeah, otherwise you'd be hopefully seeing some finished items today. Yeah, and that would go for the hashtag FFO Challenge 2025, which I try to keep up with, but during the middle of the year I have a slump. So anyway, but upcoming plans, I will be going to StitchCon Weekend B. So I will not be going next week. I will be going the following week, the week of like I think it's like the 18th, 19th, something like that, 20th, somewhere around in there, and I'll be in Cincinnati, and I'm very excited to see my friends, Flosstube and regular friends, you know, just my stitching friends, excuse me again, and yeah, so I'll be talking about that next week, because the following week after that, there will not be a video unless I remember to go in the room and make one. So anyway, I hope you stitch all the things, and I hope this video wasn't too boring. It's a very short video, but until next week, happy stitching, and stitch all the things, because if you don't start it, you can't finish it. Bye-bye.